Um, well, thank you so much for being here. Can you, well, can you perhaps enlighten us and share your story as to how you became the person you are today?
Okay, I can start off by saying that I think I knew something was different when I was about maybe 8 years old. I remember going into my mother's bedroom and rubbing my chest as if something should be there. I didn't know exactly what that something was. I just always felt like there was something missing from my body. And I couldn't really like say into words or I thought I was a freak basically. Like I didn't know what was going on. I just knew something was missing. And then of course, like most transgendered male to females, I started off as a gay person, and I still felt kind of different in that sense. I really didn't fit in with the gay crowd too much either, and my transition has actually been about 3 years in process. So I kind of started off kind of later, and I'm glad I did because I got a chance to finish high school and do some things that I wanted to do first. And so I'm kind of new to the transition, about 3 years in transitioning now, and it's an interesting journey.
Great. Um, have you ever experienced discrimination in places of employment?
Yes, I have experienced discrimination. I wasn't aware that we experienced discrimination until I actually moved out to Vegas. I went to apply for some jobs. One I can say particularly was Terribles. I was trying to get a job as a cashier. I went out to the main headquarters on Industrial Road, filled out the application, and there was a woman and a gentleman there. And you kind of get the sense that your application is not going to get to where it's going to get to because they looked me up and down, and I was dressed really professional and everything like that. And they looked me up and down, and I said, okay, it's not going to get to where it's going to get to. And actually, one guy said, well, thank you, we'll call you. And he took the application, just flicked it to the side. And I was like, okay. And a couple other places, I got the no hiring thing, and clearly they were hiring the day before because I would either go online or read it in the paper. So you knew that there was other things, a reason why I wasn't even getting an interview.
That sounds like it could be very frustrating. Has that sparked any sort of activism within you to fight workplace discrimination?
Oh yes, the things I'm doing with Plan and Nevada, Quality of Nevada, with Jane Heenan, that sparked me to get involved because I don't want to be one of the ones just sitting on the sidelines complaining. I want to actually get involved and hopefully spark change. So that did spark some kind of fire inside of me to want to get involved and do something about the problem.
If through your work, it sounds like you can do some amazing things. What would be the ideal for you in regards to workplace? What would be your utopian workplace?
I want to do something in the political field. Now that I have a taste of it, I love it in activism. That's my passion, actually being involved in change. My history before then was the casino industry, and that's really challenging. You have 1,000 bosses. So this for me would be something that I can see like getting out of my bed with like a half an hour notice and rushing to do because it's my passion. Helping want to give out, inspiring change is my passion. So I would love to do something in the activism or political field.
Nice. If you could say anything to a legislator right now, what would you tell them?
What would I tell a legislator? I need a job. That's first. um, we're hardworking. A lot of us are intelligent. We know what it's like to be discriminated against, so we won't mess up your money. We just need an opportunity. Who would have thought that in this day and time, in this millennium, that I would be facing discrimination in the employment field when this is the country that I was born in. I want a chance to make a living and to provide for myself like anyone else does. So that's what I would say to legislators, that just crack open the door just a little bit and you'll be amazed at what we can do.
Nice. That's really inspiring. What would you say to some of the youth coming up?
The youth. I took a different journey. I didn't have any psychiatrists or therapists. I really didn't go through any licensed doctors to get to where you're seeing now. What I would advise the youth to do is to please find a counselor a psychiatrist, don't do it the way I did it. Do it the healthy way, because there's a lot of things that come with this mentally. You have too many youths that are coming out and claiming they're transgendered, and a lot of them may be, but at least follow the proper guidelines so you can protect your health, not just your health, but your mental health as well, because it's not an easy journey. It's not. So you really want to take the time out to get as many people involved, the right people involved in your journey as possible. So don't just go gung-ho because you think it's this fabulous journey, or you're going to be a transsexual and you're going to get all this attention. No, it's a lot that comes with that. So make sure you actually, whether it's a pastor, your mother, your father, your teacher, any adult to help you go through this journey. Don't do it alone. And sometimes, I'm going to be honest with this, we're not the best teachers. So always get other people involved in your journey.
The journey that you went through took a lot of courage. And understandably, some people within the transgender community might not have as much courage to be on video and sharing their story. And we thank you for that. What would you tell people, other transgender people, so that they can become active and feel empowered to create change much the way that you are?
And that's an interesting question, because whenever I'm out, I try to I call it dart them with little information of the importance of us getting involved, because we're not counted. And see, I hang around, a lot of the girls that I hang around with, a lot of them are escorts. So I have to bring the delivery a little different, because I can't bring it like the way it was brought to me, because they're not going to get it. They're so enwrapped in making a living, they're not going to get it. So this is the trick that I use. I said, just think about this, how many men that we sleep with vote for politicians that help keep us down, or vote for politicians that don't include us in any of the policies. Just think about that. How many of the clients that you have don't really care about you because they vote for politicians, again, that don't want to see you prosper. Just think about that. We have to get involved. If we don't show it, as it was brought to me, if I don't show up at the table, it's not like they don't know that we're there. We're just not counted because no one is showing up. Someone from our community has to show up. We have to show up. We can't just keep sitting on the background complaining about life and, oh my God, we don't have this, and no one's doing this for us. And we're not willing to put ourselves out there and let people know who we are. We have to do something. And if it starts with one person, then hopefully it can spiral to one, meaning two, then three, then four, then five. The next thing you know, you have a whole community of transgender people wanting to get involved for change. So that's what I see with that.
That's really great. Because I believe because of workplace discrimination, a lot of transgender people may be forced into an area of work that they don't necessarily feel comfortable or would like to do, and particularly escorting. Why do you feel that that's so? Like, do you feel, what I'm trying to say? Like, how do they get there? And through your experience, do a lot of them want to be in that field?
I can speak about my own personal journey, and I have talked to some girls that want to be in that field, and that's fine. That is fine. I'm not here to convince anyone to do anything. That's fine. But as far as like my journey, and I've talked to enough girls, like I have a friend, for example, she actually has a business degree, but because she's she's actually 6'2", and breasts out to here, it's hard for her to go in and apply for a job, because most of the women are going to feel threatened, and the men might be thinking of something totally different, and she's trying to apply for a job. That's why the importance is, when you start your journey, why are you doing this? This woman told me this one time, I'll never forget it. She said to me, less is more. You have to be mindful of that. If you want a job, you don't go get triple D's out to here and be surprised that people aren't going to be that quick to hire you. Why are you doing this? Do you truly feel like a woman? Or are you doing this for other reasons? And I find that a lot of girls in the escorting business, because it's something that can be an addiction as far as plastic surgery, the body work, the whole escorting thing. Before you know it, you're trapped in it. You're trapped in it. And you can't, I won't allow myself to get trapped in it. That's why I try to do as many things as possible. So I won't get trapped in it, so I can get gainful employment. But a lot of girls don't want to be there, but because the quick money that you get from it, before you know it, time goes on, then a lot of girls, because they don't like the industry, turn to drinking and drugging. So then before you know it, more time than went past, you know what I mean? And actually being up in the daytime, because you're out at night trying to make your money. So being out in the daytime, that takes a toll on you where you don't even want to get up in the morning, you know? So with that kind of job, I mean, you really have to know, why are you becoming a transsexual? Do you really feel like a woman, or is there other reasons going on? That's why I say it's important to see a licensed therapist, or talk to somebody else, because you know, when you want to be in the workplace, there's certain rules that you have to play by, you know. So and looking like you're in the, you know, porn industry is not going to really have people respecting your brain too much. So you need to really think about that.
Good. It sounds like you've done a lot of emotional reflection and some internal work to kind of raise your spirit along with your outside body, and I sense that it's very strong in you. How did you become to be so internally enlightened?
Okay, well, I can backtrack just a little bit. Alcoholics Anonymous played a big part in that. Um, I got sober. I have 13 years, and that got the ball rolling. And what it did for me was it really showed me the importance of having a God. You know, my grandmother actually started it, but she had her punishing God, and you know, if you're gay or trans, you know, forget about it. But then I found my own God, and He's not punishing me. He doesn't hate me, and He wants the best for me. And after that, when I moved to Vegas, I went to Unity Church, which is on Desert Inn in Cimarron, and that became like a second home. And then I went to MCC Church, and that's like a third home. So I'm finding my support system is growing, and just for me, I need God. I can't do it without Him. I cannot do it without Him. You know, my vision is constantly playing tricks on me. So usually what I'm seeing, I think I want, but it's not what I want. I know without God, I wouldn't be surviving this journey. You know, I'm feeling better about myself. I'm not trying to people please. I'm not doing this for anybody else. And without that, I really believe that I would probably be one of the girls that's strung out and maybe even dead. But it's my spiritual foundation that's helped keep me afloat, and with my friends, because I have a huge network of friends too. Let me see, because when I was younger, there wasn't, the role models that I saw really weren't like, most of the transsexuals were escorting, and they weren't really a vision of inspiration. And you know, I grew up mainly around a lot of heterosexuals, and with most people that are different, you know, God has rules and regulations. But I find that there's always a teacher. There's always a teacher. There was a teacher that I believe, her name is Miss Sussman, and when I went to EHT High School in McKee City, and she knew that I was different, and she always got me to kind of love yourself, and she kind of got that ball rolling. There's always a teacher, somebody that you can talk to and explain to them what you're feeling, and that will broaden your support system. I don't know, in every community is probably not like an LGBT center. I know in Atlantic City they had this place called Oasis. That's where I'm from. So that's where a lot of the gays and the transgenders go and stuff like that. But there's, in every community there has to be something, pastor, a teacher, somebody that you can talk to. But always give it another adult. Hopefully they're not a judgmental adult, and so be aware of that, you know, because you're not going to hell, you know what I mean? But there has to be somebody adult. If you don't get it from your family, never give up. There has to be some adult somewhere that you can talk to. And now the greatest thing now is you have the internet. Any young person I can tell, go to the internet. If it's not in your own community, go on the internet. Type in whatever that has to do with transgender or whatever. You'd be surprised what comes up. But you need a support system. And again, be very wary of the support system, because you don't want to take the route that I took. So you need a strong support system.
Any parting words that you might have?
Yes. Any parting words? Don't give up. Get a guide. I'm going to push that hard. Get a guide. It may seem corny. Sometimes you might not fit in with the rest of the girls, because it will seem like you're missing out on something. You're not, and this is for the youth directly, you're not missing out on anything. Get a guide and a strong support system of positive people, period.